I believe that new hire, new employee onboardings for your clients is one of the most important processes to figure out, because nothing irritates a client more than continually setting up new users incorrectly in their business. So that's what we're talking about today. My name is Adam Hammond. Welcome to Ramblings of a Geek. I spent a number of years of my career actually at a company that's the thing that we specialized in, and I learned a little bit along the way. A lot of what I learned translates really well to the MSP space, and I tried to bring that in my MSP career as well. So let's get into the importance and some tips and tricks around the new hire, new end user onboarding process, because I think that's a really important process to master. Nothing says maturity like just doing these rote tasks really, really well. And this isn't always a very simple task either, right? You can think about setting up new hardware, setting up line of business applications, access to all the different stuff. There's a lot going on there. But if you can do that really, really well, you're much more likely to do a couple things. Thing one, you're going to keep your clients happy about doing all the things, right? That way, if they bring on new users and they know they don't have to worry about it, don't have to babysit you on those kind of things are going to be pretty good. Thing two is that if you show that you're competent when somebody comes on board and maybe they leave that organization eventually, like if you treated them well and you made them feel like a valued member of the client, they very well likely send at least signals, if not directly advocate on your behalf, to potentially bring you over to their new company as that new company's MSP. So that's a really important thing as well. And the other piece is really making sure that your team feels like you've got your ducks in a row, right? New user onboarding is one of those things that the level ones can take care of pretty easily for you. And if the better and easier you make that process, the more likely that process is to succeed. And the easier it is for you to bring on level ones that can actually make a meaningful impact in your business as well. So then the question is, what do you do? What does this process look like? Well, and the first thing for me is a little bit of pre-work. I actually think that you need to be very clear with your clients about the order of operations and when they need to let you know for what stuff, right? Because if they need to order hardware, they need to let you know a whole lot earlier than when they actually hire a person, because hardware maybe take a few days to a week or maybe even 2 weeks, depending on availability of hardware. And you need to get it, you need to provision it, you get it ready for them, and then set the user up. But there's a number of gates along the way. And so the first thing I want you to think about is when you bring on a brand new client, to educate them about your new user onboarding process, because you want to set the expectation that if you need to get hardware, you should probably let us know a couple weeks in advance, right? As much as you possibly can. And for a new user, we need a day in advance or whatever that looks like for you. So that way we can do all the things in time and have that ready to go for them. The key here is that they need to understand these couple of gates, and you need to understand for yourself what the lead time is going to be, right? So if your computer prep process takes 3 or 4 days to get the hardware, a day to do the configuration, a day to get the person stuff set up, yes, you could do it faster than that. It isn't going to take you literally 8 hours, but it's going to take some time to get those things set up. I think getting those things figured out is really important. So I would suggest that when you talk to your clients that I need at least a week, if not 2 weeks, lead time for new hardware. And I need at least a day, if not 2 business days, lead time for their accounts. And if they have any sort of weird special line of business apps that requires some extra licensing and some other pieces, that might actually increase the lead time. Because what I would probably do is suggest that you have no less than a 1 business day turnaround for new users if they already have all the hardware stuff figured out. Yeah, you could probably get it done same day. But you want to teach your clients and start setting the expectation for them to say that they need to let you know back here versus, I hired this person yesterday, they're starting today, it's 8:15, I need them ready to go by 8:30, because of course that's unrealistic. Give them some amount of education about the lead time that's required during the onboarding process, because that's when you start having these conversations. And then the first time they get ready to hire a person, re-educate them on those things as well. Keep teaching the users, keep teaching your clients what good looks like from their perspective, because sometimes clients don't really care about the MSP, but for the most part, your clients probably should. They don't really want to be a challenging client usually. And so I would expect that they will do their best to play the game with you and do it relatively well. Now, here's the thing is, if you have a client that's routinely not doing it well because they just are unorganized or maybe malicious or maybe just plain lazy, this is a situation where maybe you hold the line and say, you know what, I know that you hired them this morning at 8:15 and you want them done by 8:30, but my team's fully booked out all day. This will actually be a tomorrow thing. Remember, we need a 1 business day notification on these things so that we can do all these things for you on time. Now, I'm not saying make an example on the first time you do this, but if you have a client that's doing this over and over again, I might at least consider that as an option. If you're getting value out of this video, I would really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button for me. The second piece of leveling this process up is that you need to document the heck out of this procedure, right? I'm a big documentation fan, but I'm not a big document every single detail about every single thing fan. I am a big fan of doing that here though. Like I said before, your level ones and your lower level engineers should be the ones doing your user setups. And so it's important that you get that process documented so that that way there's not any kind of ambiguity as to what's the process is. So whatever the process is, document every single piece and make it be a checklist. Make that checklist appear in the ticket and make sure that you've got the documentation and whatever documentation engine you use, make sure that's up to date and ready to go. And if there's nuances per client, you like to send naming conventions, a nuance or line of business apps and those kinds of things, make sure those things are well documented as well. And then the last thing I wanted to think about on this documenting the process side of the world is that if you have clients that have a number of different business units, usually it's a little bit larger clients that have this, where everybody in HR gets this set of apps, and everybody in finance gets this set of apps, and everybody in engineering gets this set of apps. I think you should make sure that you document that as well, right? Especially for those larger clients, because one, they're usually slightly more mature than your typical small client. And two, again, if you do this really well and you take the pain out of new hire onboarding for them, everyone's gonna really appreciate that. So make sure you do that. Now, I would actually do that during your onboarding process. Now, when I was doing onboardings and those kinds of things, that was one of the things I would ask the main point of contact, hey, tell me a little bit about the business units you have in your organization. Tell me what does HR need versus what does finance need versus what does engineering need. Tell me about these different things, or point me in the direction for a stakeholder for me to go talk to them. Because early on in that onboarding process, if you can get this stuff figured out and that way you're not doing it on the fly the very first time, you just look like a more mature MSP. You also are gonna make less mistakes. And I tell you what, every time we screwed up a new user onboarding, for whatever reason, we heard about it. It was 100%, we heard about it. Maybe not quite 100, but upper 99s for sure. Do it well and take pride in this, right? And do your best to make sure that the documentation is locked in. Because again, you want to be able to push those things down to the lowest level users on your side of the world, so that way you're not making a level 3 have to do a user onboarding. Because when you take that documentation and you know all the different pieces and you have all the pieces in line, you can then start scripting things out. My former MSP had a couple really brilliant automation engineers, and that team was fantastic. One of the things they did really, really well was they created a whole new user onboarding script application thing, right? Basically, we would log into a domain controller or a device on their side of the world, and this tool, we would launch the tool. It was just a really fancy PowerShell script, but basically we would put in the name, the person's first name, their last name, what department they're in, and what license they needed in 365, because we were largely a 365 shop, and said go. And it would create the account in AD, it would create the account in Entra, and it would do all the things, because we would have pre-programmed the naming convention and some of those other things. 85 to 90% of that new user onboarding process, at least from an account creation perspective, was done with that one tool, right? This is the power of automation. Now, there's other tools that will do it, right? There are a couple tools in our space that you can do this right as part of the tool, which I'm not going to get into actual tools today, but there are absolutely tools out there that can help you with this as well, right? If you have your process well documented, it's a whole heck of a lot easier to script it or use AI tools or insert other thing here to make this automated in some way, shape, or form. And I really think you want to start automating these things as best as you possibly can, because nobody wants to go create a whole bunch of manual user accounts. It's really annoying and not much fun. Not only do I do these videos about once a week, I also have a monthly newsletter as well. I'm gonna drop that link on the screen and in the description of this video. I'd love it if you'd sign up. And then no matter what the onboarding process is, I think there are opportunities probably every year to review and potentially update that process and maybe try to level it up. Maybe take a Q4 initiative for one of your automation people or people who like automation. Maybe you don't have a dedicated automation person, but but take like Q4 and let them try to like figure out and level this process up. Like, and just do that every single year. And over time, it's going to get better and better. And especially as things change in our world, you want to continue to improve this process as much as you possibly can. It's just going to be good for you, good for your clients, and good for everybody. Once you get the thing documented and automated as best as you possibly can, now here is where you can really like level up and make this experience even so much better for your clients. A number of videos ago, I created a video all about using video in MSPs, right? And some use cases around it. And one of my favorite use cases for this is new user onboarding. New user onboarding can be significantly leveled up by using video. And so what I think you probably should do, if I was running an MSP today, this is absolutely what I would do, is I would record a video and I would say, hey, welcome to your new company. We are your MSP and we are so excited that you're here. We love bringing new people on because it's our opportunity to make your computer and IT life a little easier. And that's why we exist in the world. So here's how you open a ticket with us. And this is how you reach out to us. And this is some things that we're going to ask you for every time you reach out. And here are some common things that you run into at this organization. Like, you can build out a video that is going to just truly level up that process for that client. That is so cool. And what I would do is I would build a email communication template, probably just through your PSA. Hopefully you're using a PSA that allows for this. That just basically, you can just say, new users onboarded, you click a couple boxes and you say go, and it just sends out an email. It basically says, welcome, here's how to open a ticket with us. Here's some articles for common things. Here's how you set up your phone. Here's how you set up your VPN, those kind of things, and then include the video link too, right? Like, if you can do this and you can really personalize that experience just a little bit, you're gonna stand head and shoulders over almost every other MSP out there, because I'm yet to see too many MSPs doing this in a real appreciable way. And then if you wanted to level it up even further, I would strongly recommend that after like 2 weeks or maybe 30 days or something like that, you send an automated follow-up saying, hey, you've been with this organization for a couple of weeks now. I just want to check and make sure that you have everything you need from an IT perspective. And maybe even give them a survey, and you can maybe even ask some more general questions, and you can use that survey to then maybe give your clients some feedback too about what their onboarding process is. Now, of course, you can't ask too many questions that would be out of the ordinary, but if you could ask a couple of general questions about how's your onboarding, do you need anything from us? Do you have all the technology you need? Like, some of those things could be a huge level up for you and your clients. And I think your clients would really appreciate that as well. Again, the whole point of being an MSP isn't to be the people that set up an account. The whole point of an MSP is to be the trusted technology advisor for these organizations, so that way you can become a business partner with them in that world versus being a transactional thing, right? This is, again, back to, we are a relationship industry versus a transactional industry, right? So the things that you can do to level up this process are only going to yield good results for you and your clients and their people that they bring on board. So what do you do if you talk to a client and the client's like, yeah, I don't really know what my people need? Well, this is your opportunity to step up and say, you know what? This is a thing we do all the time. This is a process we do all the time in our world. So let's just talk about it. Let us bring our documentation in. Let's do some continuous improvement for you guys. Let's do some conversations with stakeholders about what you need in your organization, and we'll help you level up this process for you, right? That could be a huge win for you as well, right? Because a lot of small businesses that we support are run by people who don't do a lot of hiring, right? That's not always a thing that they're used to. And if we can leverage our abilities and our knowledge and our experiences in a more business practice way, why wouldn't we lean into those kind of conversations? Optimizing and leveling up new user onboarding experiences is a really smart thing to lean into. Much like the overall client onboarding process and your own tech onboarding process, like, doing these things well makes your life easier. It makes basically everyone's life easier. So now is the time to go ahead and level up some of those processes. I am going to drop my overall client onboarding process videos up here, and I'm going to drop the new tech onboarding process up over here as well, because I think all this onboarding stuff makes a whole heck of a lot of sense. Thanks for coming on Scramble with me, and hope to see you on the next one.